Let's hear first of all from Antony Blinken.
Hamas has before it a proposal that is extraordinarily generous on the part of Israel. And in this moment, the only thing standing between the people of Gaza and a ceasefire is Hamas. They have to decide, and they have to decide quickly.
Antony Blinken there. Well, let's discuss the latest then. Our international affairs editor, Philip Turle, is joining me here on set. Philip, do we know any more then about what this proposal concretely is?
Yes, we have quite a lot of information. This is not absolutely written in stone yet, but there are lots of rumours bounding around about exactly what this ceasefire proposal contains. First of all, a 40-day ceasefire, which would basically give a welcome lull in the fighting and also allow in much-needed humanitarian aid into the Gaza Strip. Second, Hamas is to release 33 of the 130 hostages it's holding. That's down from 40, which is being demanded by Israel. Israel's conceded there to let 33 hostages be freed instead of 40. Israel has agreed to release hundreds, if not 1,000, Palestinian prisoners. Displaced families are also going to be allowed to return to the northern Gaza Strip, where they have been forced to flee, many of them in the southern part of the Gaza Strip, a lot of them in Rafah. And more importantly, an Israeli pledge for a period of sustained calm. What does that mean? That basically means that one of the key demands of Hamas has been for a ceasefire and the withdrawal of Israeli forces from the Gaza Strip. Israel has refused that up until now, but what they are saying in a bid to pacify and placate Hamas is that they will agree to this period of sustained calm, which is more or less the same thing but written differently, in the hope that this is something that will be more acceptable to Hamas and therefore Hamas will agree to a ceasefire.
So how much pressure then is there on Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, do you think, to obtain a ceasefire deal?
Yeah, it's been gaining ground and increasing over recent days. Remember last week, 18 countries signed a call for a ceasefire deal to be signed as quickly as possible. That included the United States and France. Just in the last few hours, we've had increased calls from other regional powers for Israel to accept this. There's been growing pressure with the student protests around the world, even here in France at Sciences Po and at the Sorbonne, for action to be taken to stop the Israeli offensive in Gaza. So even back home, the protesters are growing, the protest movements are growing, calling for the hostages to be freed. So there is tremendous pressure on the shoulders of Benjamin Netanyahu. The problem for the Israeli Prime Minister is that he's split between the moderates in his government who say, yes, well, what you need to do is to sign this ceasefire agreement as quickly as possible to get these hostages freed, whereas the hawks, the more hardline far right, which is propping up the government of Benjamin Netanyahu, are saying, no, we don't want that. What we want is for you to launch this offensive in Rafah, which is something that you need to do to obliterate Hamas once and for all. And they say that if he doesn't do that, they're going to withdraw his support and his government will collapse. So it's not an easy equation for Benjamin Netanyahu to work out right now. But I think that the pressure is certainly building on him, and the pressure is also building on Hamas itself, to come up with some kind of an agreement to end the bombardments of the Gaza Strip, to agree to this ceasefire deal. Remember, they've been backwards and forwards to Qatar. Hamas has been into Egypt to try to negotiate a ceasefire deal. It's back in Doha right now, where it's working out the solution, what it's going to say. It's going to present that in written form. We thought it may have happened last night, overnight. Still no news so far today, Tuesday. So I think a lot of expectation that this is maybe the make or break moment in what is happening in the Gaza Strip, but we still don't know exactly what Hamas is going to agree to or not agree to following this proposal by the Israelis.
Philip, something else that's happening that's away from these discussions, Israel voicing concern that the International Criminal Court could be preparing to issue arrest warrants. Now, this is for government officials on charges related to the Hamas war in Gaza Strip. Israel isn't actually, is it, a signatory of the ICC? So how on earth would it work?
Well, Israel has got quite a lot to lose. I mean, a lot of comparisons have been made with the criminal court, the arrest warrant issued for Vladimir Putin, the Russian president, over the deportation of children from Ukraine. Israel is much more dependent on the United States. The international community has more to lose than Russia as a result of this. It may be years before any kind of action is taken, if anything does happen, if there is an arrest warrant issued by the ICC. Remember, the ICC was established back in 2002. It prosecutes for war crimes, crimes against humanity, genocide, and crimes of aggression. It has 124 member states, but that does not include Israel, which has been stopped from joining it by the United States. But the Palestinian territories are a member of the ICC, and it has a pretty big budget, 187 million euros. So what they are saying is that they are launching an investigation into alleged crimes of international violation of humanitarian law in Gaza. We don't know how far that is going to go, but I think that's sort of also stacking the pressure on the Israeli Prime Minister to come up with some kind of agreement with Gaza or with Hamas as far as this whole situation is concerned. The problem really, Stuart, is that both sides don't see eye to eye on many things, and they don't see on what they're going to gain as a result of this. If you look at, for example, the Hamas point of view, they say as long as there's not a full Israeli withdrawal from the Gaza Strip, they can't say that they have achieved what they really want to achieve. And as far as Israel is concerned, as long as there's no offensive against Rafah, which is what Benjamin Netanyahu has been saying he's going to do, and if he's stopped from doing that because of this ceasefire agreement, then there will be a feeling in the Israeli cabinet that, well, they haven't got as far as they could do. So it's going to go some way to ending the conflict if Hamas agrees to it, but it's no means an end to the whole situation that has blown up in the Middle East, and we don't really know how the two sides are going to be brought back to the negotiating table and to discuss together how to find a way out of this.
Thanks very much, Philip Turle, international affairs editor for you there here on France 24.